At the end of the 19th century, the Jewish community in Norwich grew, and today we're going to find out why this was. For many years, the Jewish community in Russia was persecuted, and attempts were made to expel or convert them to Christianity. In May 1882, the Russian government introduced laws which became known as the May Laws, which said that Jewish people could only live in certain areas. Jewish people were not allowed to buy, sell or rent properties in other areas. Jewish people had to keep Christian holidays and not Jewish holidays. There were restrictions on Jewish people going to school and university, and there were restrictions on what jobs Jewish people could do. The area the Jewish people had to live was called the Pale of Settlement. To give you an idea of how large the area was that the Jewish people were allowed to live in, this map shows the size of Russia. It's the country in red, and borders have changed since then, but that's what it was at the time. The United Kingdom is where we live. You can see in the blue circle. The Pale of Settlement is only the size shown in green, and in 1897 nearly 5 million Jews lived there, which was 94% of the total Jewish population of Russia. The incessant anti-Jewish decrees and waves of pogrom resulted in a constant stream of Jewish refugees from the Pale of Settlement to Western Europe and America. Brody was one of the principal towns that the Jewish refugees fled through. People moved by train, river or walked. The distance from Brody to Hamburg is 812 miles, which is approximately like walking from Land's End to John O'Groats in the UK. They went from Hamburg to London and then on to the USA, Canada and also other parts of the UK. Large numbers of Polish Jews fled from that part of Poland controlled by Russia, and one of these was Lewis Ecker, who we're going to find out about now. Lewis Ecker was born in about 1867 in Poland. He left sometime between 1881 and 1889. Lewis arrived in Norwich with his wife Leah, mother Esther, and his brothers Emmanuel and Hyman. We know he spent some time in London, where he meets Leah Sandler, who he marries in the Norwich Synagogue in December 1889. In the 1891 census, we see he is living on Silver Street with his wife Leah, baby Sarah, and also Moses, who's from Hungary, and both Moses and Lewis are tailors. The next time we encounter Lewis is in his naturalisation papers for November 1896. We see that he was living at 23 St Saviour's Lane in Norwich. He gives his place of birth as Alexot in Poland, and he lists his parents' name as Reuben and Esther Ecker. The date is the 14th of November 1896, and he makes a mark instead of signing his name, as he is unable to sign his own name. The next time we see Lewis is the 1900 Trade Directory, which shows the business on 9 St Benedict Street. You can see it says Ecker, Lewis and Emmanuel Outfitters. The next time we see them is the 1901 census. Here we can see all the family living at the address on St Benedict Street in 1901, along with Esther, Lewis's mother, and Emmanuel, one of his brothers. He's listed as a tailor and cutter, and they were working at home. This is a photograph of how that property looks today. This is 9 St Benedict Street. It's the one with the black awning on, and there's also a view from the back on Westwick Street. The next time we see Lewis is in the 1911 census. This is the first time where we get to see how people have filled in the form. So we can see Lewis and Leah living at that property on 9 St Benedict Street with Esther, their mother, with Lewis's mother and their children. But this time we can see that Lewis Ecker has signed his name. So in that short amount of time he's now able to sign his name. So by 1929, the family of Lewis Ecker owned shops on St George's Street, St Benedict Street, Prince of Wales Road and Firebridge Street in Norwich, employing many people. Other individuals who arrived in the UK as refugees at this time and went on to have successful tailoring businesses are Burton's and Marks and Spencer's.